Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Get Geek podcast, where we celebrate geek, nerd, and pop culture. Each week, we deliver the best analysis for fans, by fans, on anything related to movies, TV, video games, comics, anime, and manga. We talk geek. And now, here's the Get Geek podcast.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to the Get Geek podcast. What's going on, y'all? What's going on, y'all? Hope you've had a great week since our last episode. I am Jose.
This is Wolfie.
AJ.
Eli.
And this is Walt with the Eddies.
With the Eddies. What's the Eddies? Am I out of the loop here?
You should know what the Eddies
Maybe
are.
I'm-
If you know what we're talking about.
I don't know what the Eddies
It's
are.
all about the cat.
Oh, the
Boy.
Eddies. Yes, it's
You
the
got-
Eddies.
yeah,
That's
oh,
right.
Eddies, bro.
Oh, man. Sorry. I think I glitched out there for a bit.
I had a slight bug. I don't know. It feels like I walked through a wall or something like that. It happens, I guess.
Oh,
I'm
man.
rolling with the Eddies, yo.
Rolling with the Eddies, baby. Yeah. Welcome again. I'm glad to see, I should say, that y'all are doing well. And welcome again to the podcast. Very, very quickly, our disclaimers. The best way to support your favorite podcast is to like, rate, share, and subscribe to your favorite podcast. You can find us where all of your favorite podcasts are sold. And you can always reach out to us at Get Geek Podcast on Instagram. You can check us out on Instagram as well at Get Geek Podcast. And final disclaimers, as we have been doing for some time now, we are recording remotely. So if you have any feedback, you can reach us on the aforementioned Instagram, on our Twitter at Get Geek Podcast. Let us know if there are any sound issues or artifacts or anything else that you want to talk about in regards to the podcast. Any feedback is welcome and appreciated, and we love it. So yeah, thanks to our fans for that, as always.
So, if you guys haven't figured out what we're talking about by the title of the episode that you just clicked on, we are going to talk about Cyberpunk 2077 and what the heck happened. So I kind of have a question. I was super excited for Cyberpunk. I do have Cyberpunk. But who was really looking forward to Cyberpunk? I mean, we're talking about like almost 10 years of hype. Who was down? Like, I think we maybe even had a geek out when the trailer came out. We like geeked out over it. Maybe like 2 years ago, whenever it was.
It was way back when.
Way
I was
back when.
15 when that happened. It was a long time ago.
So has everyone played it?
Yes.
I played a bit of it.
Yeah, I played a bit
Okay.
of it too.
I played it, demanded a refund, and then went back and got it again because I seem to be a video game masochist. So, you know, but
You're a masochist in many ways, it feels.
thank you. So, we've all
What do you like? Jose, you just got it, right?
Yeah, I just got it. I just tried it for the first time.
What are your first impressions?
So
What are your first
I
impressions?
think it's a good context because I didn't get it as soon as you guys did. And to be perfectly honest, I didn't know about it until, I mean, it was still a few years ago, but I found out a lot more about it and how long it was in semi-development hell. But I didn't get it around launch. You guys both got it around launch, right? Walt, you did, and Wolfie, you did around launch?
I did.
No. Actually, I just got it. Like,
You just got it a week ago.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're in the same boat as me.
So
Yeah,
I think-
that's what's on my mind.
You're in the same
Yeah.
boat as me.
I think what happened is that I got it and I was thoroughly disappointed, and I might have scared you guys off from getting it. So that could
Oh,
be,
you know what
that could be
Not
it.
necessarily.
I couldn't get it because at the time I just couldn't. But then by the time I wanted to get it, it was off the PlayStation Store.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, that's true.
Yeah.
It's still on the Xbox
So-
store and on the Microsoft store, and I'm not going to the store to actually get it, most likely anyway. I mean, I am vaccinated, so I probably could start to, with a mask, venture out a little bit. But so my
Yeah.
thoughts on it initially, like I said, are removed from launch. I did a live stream of this on the Get Geek Gaming Twitch channel. So I gave some impressions there, but it reminds me of some other games. it reminds me of a game that I loved called Deus Ex, specifically a game in the series called Deus Ex Invisible War. And this is not the most recent one. I know Walt has played and owns the most recent ones, Invisible War and Human Revolution, which I also love.
Yep.
But Invisible War is the older PC version. And the reason I say it reminds me of that, sadly, is that it's the worst in the series. It's still good, okay? But it has some of the issues that I see in Cyberpunk in terms of some bugs, in terms of the graphics looking good, but not being entirely polished. There's like a graininess to it on console, especially. I know PC, there's a vast difference. And I think that's one of the things that is interesting. The PC versus the console version and their performance, right? But also the frame rate's not so great. The shooting mechanics are okay. Again, not really great. So far, I mean, I like it because I love Deus Ex. I absolutely love the Deus Ex games, and even Invisible War was a fun one. But it's so unpolished, and like it really doesn't feel like it's a game that's finished. And I think that I want to say more about the unfinished product aspect of it later on. But let me pass it to somebody else. Who else has played it recently or go on ahead?
Well, I just want to say this. You mentioned the graininess. There are settings in there that may help it because if you dig into the settings filter, there are things for like focus, the grainy effect, the cinematic effect. So that might be some things that you have it on and stuff, and maybe you didn't shut off, or maybe I'm wrong and it's just grainy as hell.
You know,
the way
what
it is.
I actually in most games, I actually hate film grain because I feel like if you're trying to play, especially shooting games, it makes it a little bit harder to spot things. So I turn off the film grain in almost every game. So I made sure to do that before I started this one. And the resolution is still, I think it still leaves a little bit to be desired in the smoothness of the graphics.
I wonder if maybe a part of the reason is that they were probably looking at the PlayStation, the newer generation, and since we're playing on kind of old consoles now, as they're called, maybe they didn't give enough focus on optimizing it for those.
That seems to be what I've heard. And also, I'm not playing it on a 4K Xbox. I'm playing it on the original Xbox One.
There you go. Yeah, so that could be a reason why it doesn't look as good. Because if you see it on the new generation stuff, that it does look really, really good sometimes.
But if I'm not mistaken, the actual next gen versions of Cyberpunk are about to be released. The ones that were released were meant to be on the PS4 and Xbox.
Oh, okay. So then I'm totally wrong. Then I'm batting 2 for 2 this time.
I have to look. I'm going to look that up actually very quickly because, as I said, I also read a little bit earlier about the history of it to try and catch up, and it wasn't really optimized for current gen consoles. It was already developed with the next gen consoles and PC in mind. I'll double check that, but I want to obviously let you guys continue to make your points while I look that up.
That's really interesting considering that the game was announced in 2012.
Yeah, but you know how sometimes these developments they change their focus. It has happened in the past. This wouldn't be the first instance of that.
I guess, yeah. I mean, looking at Gran Turismo.
Yeah, there you go.
And Final Fantasy VII Remake, for that matter.
Yeah.
So.
Well, listen, despite with all the litany of problems, CD Projekt is still making bank on this. I mean, they've had the most successful year in their history. I think their revenue sales, if I'm reading this correct, almost $500 million because of the release of this product. So
they made their entire development cost on launch, which is insane.
Right.
That goes to show like how strong actual marketing is. So what about Eli and AJ? Do you guys play like you guys into like Skyrim and like other kind of role-playing games and stuff?
Yeah, so I was gonna say, when I first started playing this game, I was vaguely reminded of two games, Skyrim and GTA 5.
Really? I thought Far Cry.
Oh, yeah, you know what? Even better, Far Cry.
Yeah.
Yes.
I agree with all
The
of
reason
them.
why I say Skyrim is because one of the reasons why I love Skyrim is because it has its cute little bugs, right? And so one of the first bugs I experienced playing this game was I was going at like 200 miles per hour, or like about to approach the speed of light. And I collide with this stationary car. But that stationary car, as it turns out, is a portal to below the ground, the surface of the game. So what I do for like the next 1 or 2 minutes is fall endlessly down the the spot like you're not intended to be here.
You clipped into oblivion.
Void.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And then I died, and then when I reset, I'm just like right in front of that car, like, hey, this is where you start. Back at the door.
This happened to me on the stream. Somebody like it was fine, and then at the very end of the stream, some dude just walked through an elevator door. And that was it. Very, very quickly, CD Projekt Red, a very quick statement, if I may. This is from PCGamesN.com. This is from Michael Nowakowski of CD Projekt Red. It is more about us looking, as was previously stated, at the PC and next-gen performance rather than current gen. We definitely did not spend enough time looking at that. I wouldn't say that we felt any external or internal pressure to launch on the date, other than the normal pressure, which is typical for any release, so that was not the cause. So it seems like they really didn't focus on the current gen consoles.
That's funny. I want to go back to that. I want to push back on that a little bit, but before that, like I do kind of want to, because I don't know Eli. All I know about Eli is
Corny.
DB Super and corny. You know what I mean? Like that's all I know as far as like video games with Eli go, and COD, I guess. Oh wait, no, Fortnite. What am I talking about?
No, Fortnite sucks, bro.
It's
When's the last time you played Fortnite? When's the last time you played Fortnite?
A year ago.
Yeah,
Fortnite.
It's been a minute.
Fortnite needs to die in peace. They keep trying to do freaking crossovers, but anyway, that's beside the point, right? So I'm actually a little bit different than most of you guys' opinions. I haven't exactly experienced the glitches for myself. Yeah, and I can point them out because I was watching AJ's little thingamabobber thing, right?
Test run,
right? But when I played the game for myself,
Thingamabobber.
I actually liked it. I like it for what it is. And yes, the glitches are weird, but like the whole like shooting mechanism, which we are going to get into, I think, I actually kind of liked, believe it or not.
you said it sucked at first.
Yeah, it sucked at first, but like when I got to experience it, like there was like this shooting that just happened to be right next to me, right? It wasn't entirely bad. I wouldn't say that it's a bad it's bad mechanics, but I kind of actually liked it. But other than that, honestly, I find the open world, the world itself, to be completely amazing, to say the least, right? And the graphics, yes, it can be improved. I've definitely seen some stuff with the graphics that I just don't like at all, but it doesn't take away that much, at least for me. The story too, which I really haven't gotten into, it seems like it's pretty good so far. Honestly,
You're lucky you didn't see the bugs that I saw when I first downloaded
yeah,
this thing.
I haven't, like I said, I haven't experienced.
Because that was amazing.
Neither did I.
You know,
Right.
I actually considered keeping the game just to see
right?
how many bugs I could find, because there was literally one point where I was flying
In a car,
where
or how?
I wanted to jump off a certain thing, and instead the jump mechanism didn't work, so I kept on walking on air. You know, there was another time I wrapped my car around a light pole, but then it like I was able to morph right through it. You know,
Cool.
there's been times where the character models, they just kind of bugged out and got really weird, like if they were being shocked. I mean, there was a lot of bugs that, at least for me when I started it, it took me out of. I wasn't focused on playing the game. I became focused on the bugs, and that's one thing that I wasn't enjoying about it, and that's why I asked for a refund, and I did get it because it was almost like the RPG version with people of Goat Simulator.
Yes, that yo,
That's
that
the
is such
perfect.
a
That's
that,
the
oh my
perfect
God.
example.
Oh
That
my
is
God.
such an
If
amazing
if you've
comparison.
ever played Goat Simulator, you know what I mean. But that is a
Gosh.
game that is built solely on glitches and bugs, and that's what I was feeling
Oh
when I
my
was playing
gosh.
Cyberpunk the first
That's
time.
not great. To be fair, the
Um,
control issues I found were a little better after screwing around with the settings a little bit. So that's to Eli's point.
yeah, I mean, me personally, I thankfully, I've been blessed to have a decently high end gaming PC, kind of in preparation for Cyberpunk, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
So I was preparing to kind of go all out for Cyberpunk. That's how much the hype was behind Cyberpunk, that it was like, man, I want to have like the best possible rig for me to play this. I mean, I was looking forward to getting it for the Series X, but I never got the Series X because I have this PC anyway. Still planning on getting the Series X
Yeah.
at some point. Just because I'm a console fan, even if I don't play them. But I have not had any of the issues so far. I have about 10 hours logged in. I have not had any glitches as of yet. You know,
That's good.
the game has been running beautifully. I know that I do have the latest version that's been highly patched. There is apparently still a police officer, issue going on
Yes.
in Night City that I haven't experienced
What
yet.
resolution can you play it at on your gaming rig?
I don't actually
It's
know. I haven't. It's
higher
at the
than 1080p,
max
right?
resolution.
I would say.
Right. Yeah. No, I have a
So
4K
it's probably
screen.
4K then, and it's running at that.
Yeah.
Runs
Yeah.
well. Nice.
So,
You do
yeah.
have a nice rig. It seems
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I do thankfully have a nice rig. So, but here's where I want to push back, right? Because so far I do like the game. I do enjoy it. I don't think that I think that I think that it's definitely was overhyped. Clearly, it was overhyped, right?
Yes.
Because all the promises, the majority of the promises are not met. To me, this is just a regular, it's just a dystopian future RPG. I'm playing a Blade Runner RPG. That's all I'm doing, in my opinion. I like it so far, but I just don't think that it's this brand new, super insanely innovative, next gen game.
Definitely.
But here's where I have some pushback on, like, what's his name?
Nowakowski?
It
Michael Nowakowski, I believe it
Nowakowski?
was. I can go back to that article.
Sure.
Go ahead.
I don't think that that's accurate. I think that because here's the thing, like, for example, the video that was shown for 2018 was a fake video, even though it was said that it was gameplay footage. There's a ton of negative reviews on Glassdoor by former employees talking about how, like, the company and their management and everything has just been like a bunch of false lies and terrible like unmeetable deadlines and stuff. And one of the biggest issues I find, one of the main reasons I think that if you were to drill it down to one issue, one reason why this is failing, from a standpoint, not from a financial standpoint, because obviously they've made their money back like 3 or 4-fold already as far as development costs go. But as a actual, venture, they attempted to, and I don't know if you guys knew this, but they attempted to design the engine that it runs on while they were producing the video game.
Right.
So it's no wonder why they have all these bugs.
It's a recipe for disaster.
Oh no.
It's like trying to.
Yeah, this development hell aspect of it is not something that I'm disputing. It's just what I'm noting here from the articles, at least, and there's another one, is that CD Projekt Red admits that most of the optimization, they crunched like crazy for this game. There's no doubt about it. Most of the optimization was done for next gen and PC, which is the reason that, and this is what I've again read, the launch was bad overall, but the console versions, especially the Xbox version, I believe, were especially awful at launch. So I mean, that's just what I'm seeing in the article.
Right. I
And I
mean,
agree with you. The
That could
development
always
hell
be
aspect is
just
tough.
PR spin.
that's
That could always be
what I'm
PR spin right there. You know.
right. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that they're using that as their softest crash landing. You know, they're using that as, I feel like, because the truth of the matter is you can't try to, when it comes to video game engines, there's a lot that goes into it. That's where you create all the tools to create the world and all that stuff. That's where all the bugs live. The bugs don't live in the video game itself. It lives in how, not just the video game, obviously, but like in the engine that you're using, right? So if the engine is buggy, you can have the most beautiful and perfectly made game. You're still going to have issues with the game itself because of the engine that it's based on. That's why, the games go with the most reliable engines like the Cry engine or Unreal and whatnot for many of their games. They attempted to create their engine as they're producing the game. And we're talking about something that started in 2012. You know what I mean? So it's hard for me to believe that the reason that they had such a terrible launch is because of their lack of optimization for the at the moment, at that time, the previous gen consoles and stuff like that, when they were trying to drive the car while still paving the road in front of it.
That was definitely a problem. The other thing that I can say that relates to my estimation of that is a gameplay thing or a UI thing that I think is weird. I really hate when games do this, and I wonder what you guys think about this particular UI choice. Why does it have a cursor for the user interface? I know that you can press up and down and just scroll between user interface options, but I can't stand it when a console game has like a mouse and cursor interface, because that's how it is on console. It's very much optimized for PC in terms of selecting options, creating characters.
I guess, yeah.
That's so odd to me, and I really hate it on console. And I'm not saying you're wrong,
Assassin's
but to me
Creed
that
does the
kind of
same
signals
thing.
that there was definitely more focus on the PC version of the game. Just
Assassin's Creed does that?
Yeah, Assassin's
I hate
Creed.
that.
At least the newer ones do it, and I believe
hate it.
Hellblade also does it. Although I don't remember quite, but I know for a fact that Assassin's Creed does it because we had that for the I forget which ones they are. Odyssey, and I believe the latest one, which is the one that has to deal with the Vikings. It has that thing, and it's just like Jose said, it's super annoying. Valhalla,
Yep.
yes, thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I hate
it is super
so
annoying
bad.
because you know what, it takes you out of it because you're if your cursor's all the way to the top right and you got to go all the way down, it's just come on, seriously. You
Yeah,
know?
I hate that so much.
It's just super annoying.
You know what that is, and it actually makes sense that it's in Assassin's Creed also, mainly because Assassin's Creed, Ubisoft, they try to churn out these games,
Oh yeah, yearly.
very very quickly, yearly basically, and they have been kind of on the bad end of employee reviews and stuff like that, based on like how much pressure there is to put out this work. And when you're overworking like that and you're trying to create like a huge you're trying to release a huge product, you cut corners. And I think one of the ways to cut corners is like, hey, let's just make one game and port it to everything.
Yep.
They basically ported a PC game. So
I agree with that.
Is there, I mean, I so again, from my end, because of my experience so far, I'm enjoying the game and I want to continue playing the game. Do you guys see yourself like kind of wanting to keep turning on the console or play the game? I specifically want to know, because I know Eli so far has liked the game. I want to know, do you want to keep playing it? Is it something that you're into? I mean, it seems like we're kind of mixed so far as a group right now.
Honestly,
But
honestly, as much as like the glitches like are there and stuff, and there are so many negatives to this game, but honestly, for me, it's like Godzilla v Kong to you. It's how do you call it?
What do you
What do you mean?
what about Godzilla v Kong?
It's you like it, but it's bad.
You know why you
okay.
like
Yeah.
it. I think that's what Walt said.
You know
He
why.
he knew what he was getting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, I wanna play this game a lot more. Definitely, I'm looking forward to trying to progress through the story, and yeah, that's basically it. It seems like something that I want to play.
Okay.
Which because you get to pick three different kind of backgrounds. Which background did you pick?
Well, technically, I didn't pick a background because I was playing.
Or which one are you playing? Which one are you playing?
Well, as of right now, I'm playing Nomad, right?
Same.
Yeah, I
Okay,
picked
Same.
Nomad.
Nomad.
Yeah, because I'm
Of
playing
course
it
you
on.
picked Nomad. That's such an AJ thing to do. I can totally see you like if that was you in the game, I bet your character creation screen was like you put on like the long leather jacket, pop collar and everything, you know.
He
I
actually
could do that? Oh my god.
just.
Now I
No,
want to
I don't
delete my save and redo it.
no, I don't know if you can do that, but I mean,
There is
I
some
don't know
character
if you're
creation,
allowed to
right?
pick your genitalia size. Why can't you?
And type. Cut or uncut.
And type, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
I just did this a couple of days ago.
so
It's weird. Yeah.
It's so weird. I forgot about that.
Or you could not have one.
So
That's a choice too.
so you picked Nomad. You picked Nomad, and this is one of the things I do kind of like is the fact that you can pick three different backgrounds that's going to determine how you play the game. And I really enjoy this. It's not just like what kind of character you are, but also like what kind of experience you're having, right? What about you, Jose?
So I enjoy the game too. I mean, I definitely mentioned it earlier. Like, it reminds me of a game
Mhm.
series that's one of my favorite of all time. The first Deus Ex on PC is one of my
Just the
is
worst
one of
one.
my yeah, but it's still a good game. It's still a good game though. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I still love that game and I remember it fondly. Like, you know,
Okay.
like if the first Deus Ex was like one of my favorite PC games ever, a 9.5 out of 10, like the second one is still at 8.5, you know, still a really, really accomplished and fun game. So I enjoy it, definitely. And the bugs don't take me out of it too much. And I only experienced like that one bug really at the end, you know. Uh like I said, the shooting mechanics aren't my favorite, but also they weren't great in Deus Ex. I think they've gotten better in the more recent games because they actually did a good thing and shifted it to a third person perspective in the more recent Deus Ex games, which is better for like the way they did it is really well done. And I think that I read that CD Projekt Red was almost considering releasing this as a third person game more so and not a first person game like The Witcher, more third person like The Witcher.
Yeah.
But Deus Ex, you know, you switch between first person to explore and find your items and do all the RPG elements and talk to characters, and you go to third person when you like take cover and shoot at people. So that's kind of a good mechanic. But no, I mean, I like it. I want to play more of it. I've only played less than 2 hours. The character models are fantastic.
Okay.
When I want to talk about like what the negatives are in terms of the graphics, I think the character models are amazing. The voice acting is pretty good so far. The characters that I've met are endearing, even though the main character is just kind of a jerk, like kind of your standard like antagonistic protagonist, who just mean to everybody.
But again,
You know?
which path did you
The
select?
Nomad. The
Just
Nomad.
curious.
You know what?
The Nomad
I
also.
picked the Nomad
Okay.
too. I guess we can talk about the differences in the classes, but with my character, it seems like everybody's just basically racist against me. So that's kind of what it is. You know what the context of that is. What I would like to see is not just how it affects conversations, but how it affects gameplay, and if it does that.
Okay.
So I like it. You know, the music is cool, the audio is cool, the city seems pretty cool. The driving mechanics are good. They remind me of GTA. The kids said that earlier. You know, it's very GTA like and a little Skyrim and Far Cry-ish, which are all good things. But you know, I want to see a little bit more of the game before I fully judge it. And the other thing that I guess I'll add on two things as a negative. I think the AI seems pretty half baked from what I've seen so far. Again, I haven't played very much, but I had some instances where I was shooting at some dudes and they all hid behind the same cover. You know, and it was really sad because I saw one guy move from cover and I flanked him and he moved to a good position, but then all the other guys for no reason moved into the same cover with him, even though they had better positions. So it was really dumb, and then the other thing that I saw that was kind of an issue is it seems like the NPC characters aren't doing much for a game that you were kind of promised was going to have all these great NPC characters. They're just kind of having their own conversations, and you don't seem to be able to interact with them much yet.
I think that's one of the places that they kind of cut corners a little bit, like it was like, all right, like we need to continue working on, we got to work on these bugs, which means we got to take away from like NPC development.
AJ, you like kind of laughed at what I was saying about that issue there. What have you been thinking about, like all of those like issues in gameplay and all of that in terms of this game?
Well, I don't think I necessarily encountered that, but overall, I mean, the way I approach this, I approach it like I play Skyrim. When buggy stuff like that happens, I just laugh it off, and I'm like, okay, let's move on.
Experiment.
Like, it's not so much that it takes me out of it. Like, I never really got hit with that hype, so I'm kind of indifferent. But I mean, I guess I can say I'm enjoying the game so far. Like, I'm not. Like, I figured, I have to play this. And then as I was doing it, I was like, so I'm playing this.
Do you want to play it more? Also, like Eli?
Yes. That's a solid yes.
You want to experiment more in that sandbox and watch stuff go crazy, I guess, right?
I think you just hit the key word there, sandbox. Yeah. AJ is more of a fan of these type of games where there's really no structure and you can cause various kinds of mayhem on screen. And I think that's probably the appeal to Cyberpunk 2077, because you do have the ability to kind of like walk around and do stuff.
Yeah, it's like a psychotic GTA 5 stories.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, it wasn't AJ like geeking out over like the most recent like ridiculous thing that he was doing on
murdering people in GTA.
He was
like every time we were
a fighter plane or something.
Yeah, every time we were geeking out, it was like, so this week on GTA 5. I hope that our geek out start turning to this week on 2077. What about you? Like, did you also pick Nomad?
I do believe I did. See,
oh my god!
See, what happened is that I bought.
What happened was
exactly what happened was I had bought the game, and so and I was so terribly scarred by it that I deleted it, right? And I asked for the refund, but when I re-downloaded it back, it brought back my save. So I'm actually a little bit further. I haven't played it as much in preparation for this game.
Actually, I saw your save when I came over. You're not the Nomad. You're the street kid. You're the street kid. That's your
classic. So there you go. There you go. I stand corrected then.
Yeah.
Because and like I said, I did this like months ago when the thing first came out. So I honestly don't remember, but now I'm a street kid, right?
Yeah, it says it in the save. I think I saw it when you saved your game.
Okay, very good. So for me, I probably played it the least right now in terms of since I got it back, because, and I'm saying the least in terms of lately, because the kids have been playing it more so that they get a feel of it and stuff like that. And to be quite honest, I think I'm a little scarred from the first experience. And I tend to.
You're just not as hyped.
Right, exactly. And I'm the type of guy that, when I'm watching movies, I kind of tend to pick out these little, errors and misses and things like that. And because of the bugginess when I first downloaded it the first time, I still continue to do that. And I even mentioned it to the kids when they were playing it. One of the things that really annoy me and kind of take you out of the whole thing is that when you're driving with Jackie, right? And Jackie's at the wheel, he never turns the steering wheel. He's making a left turn, and he never turns the steering wheel.
Yeah.
And I know these are small little tidbits, and I know that it doesn't affect gameplay and things like that. But you know what? And I'm gonna kick this to you, Jose. The Last of Us, and I know Wolfie, you're gonna.
I'm not saying anything.
Okay.
You want me to leave the
Thank
room?
you.
I'll step out.
But you know what?
Let me mute my mic just in case I start speaking.
In
No.
tongues.
But here's the thing. Games
Joking.
like The Last of Us, they do these little things that kind of really flesh out the environment and the world, you know? And they may seem very minimal, but they do a lot to make you believe
Yeah.
that you're actually inhabiting that world also.
Right.
And
right.
so when you're sitting down and I'm staring at Jackie and it's clear that we're making a left turn and the dude doesn't move his hands, it's like, what are we doing here? That's something that's so simple to me that if you had included that, it doesn't take you out of it. And it's like, okay, I'm clearly dealing with an NPC as opposed to a character that's
Yeah.
lived in this world, you know?
Wait, it's Cyberpunk. What if he's like just hitting a button with his finger on the steering wheel to turn left?
So then why is he holding the steering
With both
wheel?
hands.
Because the
With
fingers,
both passion.
because
You know what I'm saying?
the fingertips.
I feel the pressure on the steering wheel as he's holding it. You know what I mean?
Oh, man. I mean, the details matter.
No, you
man.
know,
Details matter. Like, for
Yeah,
example,
It does. It really does.
just like you said, Walt, for that game, for Last of Us, there's different breathing if you're crouching as opposed to standing,
Absolutely.
or if your character was just sprinting, your character will speak as if they're out of breath. And those details are cool. And Cyberpunk 2077 should have had those, because I haven't played The Witcher much, but I've seen people play it. The Witcher has those details. The Witcher has some cool little details that are missing.
You want to know what's the difference between The Witcher, which is the reason that everybody was so excited, is because The Witcher 3 specifically was such a fleshed out environment, and such a huge space that they were like, oh man, if this is what they could do with The Witcher, imagine what they could do with X amount of years, next gen consoles, all this new technology, and a cyber world. It's the difference between the two. The Witcher had a fleshed out engine when they were working. This one they didn't. So what are you doing? You're dividing your attention. You know, like there's no time to work on the NPCs. There's no time to work on the environment itself. It's, hey, let's get the story done. Let's make sure the game works from beginning to end.
Do you know that even in early in development, they were trying to develop The Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk 2077 with the same team? And they eventually realized that was insane, and they had to split up the teams.
Yeah, that's insane.
That's nuts.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy.
So it's a little weird for me when I'm looking at it. And like I said, like Jose said, details do matter. And so, you know, I guess with my experience of having it, I find myself, instead of actually, you know, really jumping into this environment and this world that it looks like a very interesting world, but I can't help but pick out these little things that are annoying to me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess my experience and the story seems to be pretty good, right? It seems there's one piece where they have a little montage right before where Jackie and V, you know, they're partying and doing and things like that. Really was like, wow, this is really cool. And it was a quick 2 or 3 minute thing, but I really enjoyed that.
I wanted to play
because
that part.
Again,
I wanted to play all that.
Right, exactly.
That would have been cool.
And that's kind of informing you what these characters are, and they do a really, really good job of that. But then you have things like this where it's like, oh, I'm remembering this is just an NPC. I'm playing a game. And that's where it kind of like, you know, I'm a little broken with that.
Think about how cool it would have been if they took a part, because there was a part in that sequence, like you said, Walt, it was really cool. It would have been cool if they took like a moment or two from that and made it like an early game mission. Like I think there was a part where they were partying and something went wrong and they got into a fight. Like that would have been like a cool story building, character development thing that they could have done in the gameplay that would have made it maybe slightly better. I mean, that's a little, you know, out there as opposed to how they can improve it in details, but you know, that's like one example.
I mean, so for me, so just thinking about that one scene, I know what scene you're talking about. It happens really early on in the Street Kid, you know, section or whatever.
In Nomad as well. In Nomad, it's you partying. It's you partying with that with your partner. What's his name again, Walt?
Jackie.
Jackie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's cool because like they do this is kind of like a movie thing, like a movie magic where they're showing you essentially they're showing you a lapse of time, right? They're in like 1 minute they're showing you like X amount of days or months or whatever of like bonding, building, a life of crime that he's kind of getting back into and this, that, and the other and whatever, right? So this way they can go to the actual meat of the story, which they do. It's funny because like I actually think the more the bit that I've played and the more that we talk, I almost feel like this would have just been a great movie.
Yeah.
Like I want to see this as like
Yeah.
a Matrix trilogy instead of playing the video
With
game.
Keanu Reeves again.
Just because of like all the issues that you have. It would have been so dope if it was just a movie, no?
I think it would be great as a movie. I think it would be great, and I can see it both
a
ways.
movie,
Though.
a series,
The montage
anime.
works, but I think I also would have liked to see maybe one mission out of that. But yeah, it would have worked as a movie or an anime. An anime might be really amazing, like some sort of Akira style of cyberpunk anime.
Oh yeah,
Maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be amazing.
I think
What?
this game is built for anime.
Wait, have the boys seen Akira?
Yes,
What do you
totally,
understand?
totally.
Oh wow, Eli seen Akira?
That's required. That's required watching in my
Oh my
house.
god,
3 times.
AJ too?
Yep.
Oh guys,
One.
we gotta do an Akira postmortem.
I'm down.
Yeah.
I'm totally
I
down
love
for
Akira.
that because
Oh man, that's
that-
dope. Okay,
that
Okay.
movie is amazing. That anime is amazing, and still to this day
groundbreaking.
there are questions about that ending.
Mhm.
That's true.
So
I mean, Akira is like influenced everything from Matrix to Cyberpunk.
Yep.
So,
I want to read the manga. The manga
know.
goes further in the ending.
oh yeah, the manga is so
Yeah.
much better.
ooh, okay.
So much better.
I'm gonna have to dig into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to find the time for that one.
So it seems like there's light at the end of the tunnel for Cyberpunk. I mean, like before we started this podcast, I thought that like I was on the kind of the minority of people that are enjoying the game based on like online reviews and stuff like that. Because in my head I'm like, oh man, like people, I'm sure not everyone, has like a workhorse of a rig and it's not really the console game to play and stuff. But everyone here, with the exception of Walt, seems to be looking forward to play it, which is interesting, right? Because it just means that like there's plenty there for the game. Is just the hype. It's been a little bit of a letdown, even if we want to play it, right? Like I'm enjoying it, but I've already been let down by the fact that I couldn't enjoy the hype train.
Yeah, I think
You know?
this game truly is a victim of its own hype because
Yeah,
you had this big build up. First of all, the development how that took, and everybody, oh, is it going to be this year? Oh, is it going to be this year? And then when we finally got to the finish line, the hype was so intense, and then to release it in the form that they did, it's a major letdown. And not even that. It's to me, it's a good game. It's not a great game. It's not a groundbreaking game. And I think that leads into some of the stuff. Now, the good thing is that they have committed and said that they are going to continue to patch and update and make this the best game possible. But you've already kind of whittled away some of that goodwill
Poison the
by
well.
releasing it in the form that you did.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Does the company have a responsibility based on like how much? Because with the marketing thing, they really kind of sold us on something that they didn't have. Like pulling out Keanu Reeves and like the amount. I mean, I have not seen a video game, poster spread all over the city for a few years as much as I've seen GTA, like Grand Theft Auto. I've always seen like a ton of everywhere, like subways, bus, billboards, the whole nine. I have not seen a video game outside of a Rockstar game be promoted as much as this. Is there, because there's talk of a class action lawsuit actually.
Wow.
Well, listen, you can kind of say that they committed a little bit of fraud here because, like you had said, they're putting out videos that are actually not gaming.
Yeah, and saying that it is.
Exactly. And then you kind of put this product out and it's clearly less than. I mean, this isn't even a beta. They basically put out an alpha product. So I can fully understand why people are angry and maybe a lawsuit is a little bit too much, but you know what? I think basically what you were saying, there is some accountability for these game developers to actually put out a decent product. I mean, these games are no longer cheap anymore. It's not like you can go in and get a $30 game. You're talking about, at the very least, you're dropping $60 to $70, and then there's the Ultimate Edition, the Extended Edition, the Gold Master Edition. There's the edition that surpasses the previous edition. You know, they're throwing all these things at you, and you have to put out something that's worth it. And I think that's a problem with the gaming development society, or whatever you want to call it right now, is because there's such a crunch to get these things out that you're not even looking at quality control anymore. You're just saying, well, let's put something out there, and then we can give you a day one patch, or maybe we'll patch it up, we'll give you an update a month from now and stuff like that. I think that's more of a trend that you're seeing in gaming right now.
Yeah.
Because you know what? Am I the only one that feels this way? Older games are better.
You are not the only one that feels this way.
And that's why I'm saying GTA.
I've always felt that way.
I think that's
I
think that's controversial. I wouldn't say that's the case necessarily. I think
I don't know.
Well, here's what it
man.
is for me. It's not that games are better. It's that games now, creating games is so much more complex than it was 10 or 20 years ago. These development teams put in hundreds of years. Let's not even talk about hours. Hundreds of years of man hours to get these games out there, between all of the employees that work there. Hundreds of years of man hours of development in this game. Not hundreds of years, but dozens of years. Excuse me. It's time.
Right.
Not hundreds of years. Sorry.
Maybe
hundreds of hours,
hundreds
maybe
of
like a
things,
few
yeah.
years in terms of, maybe a few dozen
Yeah.
years in terms of overall development. And that crunch culture, what it's doing is it's creating a problem with all games. Look at EA and Battlefront or Battlefield. Look at this game, Cyberpunk 2077. Look at the amount of games that are released now, like Walt said, in an alpha stage, far, far earlier than they should be. And they're still crunching on these employees and making them work 70, 80, 90 hours a week, or, hundreds of years, working these ridiculous schedules to get these games out. And that's just part of the problem, I think.
I think that that's less of an issue on complexity of video games and more of an issue of trying to meet a certain demand, because I kind of agree with AJ and Eli. Modern Warfare, the original Modern Warfare, is a much better game than any Call of Duty that came out after. The original Assassin's Creed is, in my opinion, much better than most of the Assassin's Creed games that came out after. And I think it's just companies that are trying to capture that same magic by force. Instead of being innovative in their storytelling and everything, they're trying to, try to create something bigger and better from a technological standpoint. Maybe they got to hire 100 extra developers and make them work 20 extra hours a week to create something that's a little bit more, as opposed to just creating a good comparable game to what they already had. Like I have no desire. Like, I have Call of Duty and I have no desire to play it as much as I wanted to play Modern Warfare when it first came out. Like, that game, I put in so many hours on that game, story mode, multiplayer, LAN party, the whole nine, just because of how well balanced it was, how good it was. But I have no desire now. Like, it's just, I don't think that it was as good as a game. Like, the first Black Ops was amazing also. I have no desire to play anything that came out after as much as I had.
Isn't that partially a consequence of them just continually, not necessarily development problems, but them just trying to re-release the same darn game? I've said that about Call of Duty for a long time. That's number one. And number two, like, the development time has increased. That's like backed by research. It used to be a year to 3 years, and then it used to be 3 years to 5 years. Now we're talking about 7 to 10 years to develop game engines. That's a lot more time.
Right.
I don't know. What do you think, Eli?
I don't even think that's development. I mean, I think that development does hold bearing in this situation, but I think it's just, it's just greed, all in all. Because honestly,
for sure,
right. And I mean, honestly, I just want to make this comparison real quick. GTA SA, it's a GTA 5. GTA SA, as much as it's an old game and it's very glitchy and all that, it still had one of the best storylines. And players,
Hmm.
even fans, even say that it still has one of the best storylines in all of GTA history. It can be arguably one of the best games in all of time. I don't necessarily agree with that, but yeah. And then you have GTA 5, and honestly, I feel that GTA 5, like, it doesn't match the quality of GTA SA, and I think that's mainly on Rockstar, because
Interesting.
now that I feel like Rockstar
Hmm.
is just mainly just trying to put out stuff like just to get it out there, like you guys are saying, and just
I
so
wouldn't
that,
say
because
Rockstar
they
does
know that
that.
they're gonna. Well,
Yeah.
Rockstar,
no,
I mean,
I
GTA 5
honestly,
came out more than 10 years ago. They haven't even announced
yeah,
GTA
but
6.
I know that, but I feel that yes, they're not doing explicitly. And I don't mean
Hmm.
explicitly, right? But I feel like it's gone, like, the hype has gone to their head. So they know that this is going to be such a hype up game. So why it doesn't matter if we release a garbage product or not. People are still going to buy it anyway.
So I think that that's the case with like the EA and the Ubisoft and whatnot. Like that's what they're doing with Assassin's Creed, with most of the sports games out there, and with Call of Duty. It's hey,
Yeah.
we want to capitalize. They basically want to capitalize on the launch sale,
Hmm.
essentially,
Yeah.
on a yearly
Yeah.
basis. And that's why development has gone up. It's not primarily because of complexity. It's not anything other than what Eli said,
No,
greed. It's
not,
really like, hey, like, we want to again capture like that huge boom that they had when this game title A came out, and it made couple $100 million on day one. We want to do that every year, versus Rockstar, which there is two sides of the coin to what Eli said there about Rockstar. GTA 5 came out over 10
yeah.
years ago. GTA 5, I think, from a story perspective, was one of their best games. I mean, that's the thing about GTA. It's a narrative driven, Rockstar rather, it's a narrative driven company. Every single game they put out, amazing stories. Red Dead Redemption, Red Dead Redemption 2, Red Dead Revolver, all the Grand
GTA
Theft
4.
Autos, my personal GTA
I love it.
4. I mean, they're all amazing games from a story perspective, and they don't try to capitalize on that by trying to release it every single year, with the exception of kind of what they've done with their
Yeah.
online. So I can see what Eli's talking about for Rockstar on the online aspect,
Mhm.
where there has been a huge fervor over like the letdown that the online has been. And I guess we could probably have like a whole separate, what went wrong
Yeah.
podcast on Grand Theft Auto 5 Online, or Grand
We
Theft
could
Auto
do that about
Online.
games in
Um,
general, live services and
yeah, games,
premium
and yeah, we can do all
services.
that, but
Avengers.
I think that like the issue that happened with Cyberpunk was trying to create a product that was narratively driven, but also exciting enough to compel people to purchase this, and not Grand Theft Auto. You know, I mean, not Grand Theft Auto, rather Call of Duty, right? Like, they wanted to capture that 250, 500 million, copies sold market, and they were forcing it, which is what a lot of companies doing. They're forcing it through intense development cycles and development hell, and destroying their employees' lives and all that stuff.
So what I find is interesting is that basically have two type of games that are coming out right now. We have these annual games that really, the things like Call of Duty, the things like Assassin's Creed, Madden, which has suffered in years because they really, the problem with these annual games is that there is no innovation whatsoever.
Right.
Basically what you're doing is you're taking these games and you're rehashing. Maybe you're gonna give it a nice little paint job here. You'll add a feature here and there and things like that. And then you have the other type of games, the games like the Fallout 76s, the games like Cyberpunk 27, which don't have these annual
Mm-hmm.
releases, but it's almost, they tend to do too much. They tend to over promise and under deliver, and
Right.
the problem is that you're getting into a place with this gaming community and the gaming genre and the whole is that the innovation is not really being pushed there, but if it is, it's being pushed in the wrong direction because, again, on one side you have the annuals, you're not doing anything, but all you're doing is updating rosters and maybe upping the graphics a little bit. But then you have these other games that try and do way, way, way too much instead of giving you a proper foundation and then building on it. And then you have the disappointment that the Fallouts and the Cyberpunks you're experiencing from the fans.
So I have a question for the squad here, okay? And I want to start with AJ, Eli. Just we'll finish around the block, but I want a quick answer, a yes or no, okay?
Yeah, we're in the
Or
courtroom.
I guess a yes and yes, or no and no, or yes no, or no yes. Will there be a Cyberpunk sequel? I mean, I know that we haven't finished it, we haven't even played enough of it, but do you think that there will ever be a Cyberpunk sequel? And do you want it?
Honestly, I haven't. As much as I like the game so far, I can't answer that at this time.
Best guess.
I need
Best
to
guess.
play more.
Based on what you've seen so far, let's put it that way.
But it's not enough.
No,
for
do
me
it.
to
Do
make
it.
that
Gun to your head.
Yeah.
Gun to your head. Make the
You
decision.
make a quick decision on a game.
I mean,
don't worry, the world won't end on your answer.
Okay, then no, I wouldn't look forward to another sequel.
Okay, but do you think that there will be though?
No.
Okay, Eli.
No.
Walt.
I'll see you in 15 years.
No, you can't. We can't force AJ to make the answer and then you not answer.
Well, I'm telling you, there probably will be one, but it's going to take at least 15 years. So by the time that the next Cyberpunk comes, AJ's kids are going to be playing it.
I was gonna say the three black hairs are gonna finally be gray on your beard.
Well, no, not
the three that are left.
Yeah, I know, right? No, what I was saying is that AJ, his kids will be playing the next Cyberpunk game.
Interesting. That's funny.
Yeah, I honestly, it's kind of a, as much as it kind of feels like a generic game. You've been there, done that type of thing. So, am I excited for another sequel? Not really. Do I think that there will be? Of course, because you know what? There's money to be made. So, and
they made a lot.
And they did, exactly. So, of course, I do believe that there's going to be another Cyberpunk.
Jose?
Yep, there's going to be another Cyberpunk. CD Projekt Red is going to create Cyberpunk 2094, whatever they decide to call it, because they are going to want to reform the image that kind of got tarnished with the release of Cyberpunk 2077. They're already, I believe, working on The Witcher 4, but I don't think that's going to be enough. They're going to need two big hits to kind of undo the damage that they did from a PR perspective. And I think The Witcher 4 and probably another game as well, but if they really want to do it right, they will probably end up having two teams working on those two games and redeem themselves.
I could have sworn I said yes and yes or no and no.
But I'm sorry. Did I misinterpret that somehow? I'm sorry.
So yes, they will be. And so the second question was, would you be? Do you want it?
Yes. Yeah, I do. I like this game enough. Like I said, it compares favorable to a series that I love, and even if it's not the best iteration of that yet, it might get better. Hopefully, CD Projekt Red commits to it, as Walt really said. But yeah, if a sequel is building upon this, it's not a bad basis. It's just it was released a little too early in my estimation, and that's really the big problem with it.
I also think so. It's yes and yes for me. I think that there's definitely going to be a sequel based on the fact that they made so much money. Okay, they're not going to not do it. And I think that, and I do want it, only because the world is compelling enough to make me interested in the world, even if the gameplay itself has not been very interesting. I would like to see them, and I'm only kind of, more exposition since everyone else got to talk. But
Sorry.
no, but I think that, like, you know, I want to see more of this world. That's why I'm totally into like the whole cyberpunk kind of look, the future. I love Blade Runner, every single director's cut version of it, and the last one, Ryan Gosling, loved it. And Keanu Reeves was on a poster, so I absolutely love it just based on that. So yeah, you know, that's where I stand. It's really interesting. I did not expect there to be this much positivity, even though like it's not really that positive. I just expected this to be a really negative podcast.
No, it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah, we're positive people.
No, I mean not
On
negative
occasion.
podcast, but I meant negative thoughts of the game.
Yeah.
like WW84.
Rise of Skywalker.
and others.
I guess it wasn't that buggy of an episode.
I want to mention, I had to kind of look it up and see if I was crazy. It's not inaccurate to say that teams, this is just to highlight the development crunch issue very quickly before we wrap up. It's not unheard of for teams to put in hundreds of years of man hours of work. I know it sounds insane, but look it up. There's some articles that actually confirm this. When you're talking about teams of 40 people working for 10 years or so, it adds up.
Yeah.
Anyways, that was just a final thought, I guess, from me in regards to that.
I mean, if you consider the fact that they're going to be working on 2077 and all its patches for the next couple of years, as they're going to continue patching it, because they are patching as we speak. Like every month, there's a new patch coming out to fix something. Technically, by next year, it's going to be 10 years of people working. Some people that may have started at the project. Some people working, 80 hours a week.
Yeah, I think I saw
one word.
For 10
one of the
years.
most recent updates was like
cryo tank.
one of the most recent updates was like 25 gigs or something like that, right? So
at least it's not 180 like COD for a map.
Yeah, no.
One map.
We won't get into that, please.
I'm deleting that game actually today because like I turned on my PS5 to play it, and there's a whole 108 gig download that I need to put, and I have no space on my terabyte hard drive.
The overall download though.
I'm done. I'm so done because the only thing that I want to play on there is Gunfight. That's it.
You know what's annoying?
They shrank the download though with the update.
To play, right? But what's annoying is that when you jump on to play it, and then you see the update, and it's like, okay, this thing is going to last for another 4 hours. Then what's the point? Exactly. What's the point? You want to be able to jump on it and play it. Not jump on, see that there's an update, and then have to plan it for the next day, and then guess what? There's another update then. You know what I'm saying? So.
Check this out. So I wanted to play Call of Duty, have that huge download that supposedly shrunk, but I have no space for it. But then I go to play, I pop in Spider-Man, and I haven't played in a while, and I was like, you know what? Let me just play Spider-Man for a little bit because I don't want to play COD. There's a download for that too, but because of COD, I don't have the space for the update. So that's why I'm like, I'm deleting COD so that I can at least have some space to enjoy the games that deserve it.
You know what
it's
manage it so much because what it is the download is huge, but then the overall final size that's what it is on the hard drive is smaller. But you have to manage it.
It's
so
just
much.
Gunfight.
Exactly.
It's all I want to play is Gunfight. That's it. Nothing else. It's stupid. I'm done. Yeah. Anyways, back to Cyberpunk. Back to Cyberpunk so we can end this. I think that's gonna do it. I mean, I think generally favorable or at least neutral. We're neutral about Cyberpunk, yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and actually kind of restart it because since we have a Nomad player here and we also have a Street Kid player, I'm gonna restart and do the corpo.
Give me the Shark Tank guy.
I want to see what's up with the corporate end of all this.
Corporate.
See what happens.
Can reconvene.
I wanted to try that too.
Yeah.
Why? So you can live in your high rise and sneer down on all the masses.
Corporate still.
Oh, all right, Jesus. I don't really work for a corporation, guys. Dang.
Yeah.
Anyways,
the man.
Thank you guys so much for. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for checking out the episode. Please, once again, like, rate, share, and subscribe. And also check out our YouTube channel and our Twitch.
Yeah, Get Geek Gaming.
Jose, can you please give them all the tags?
Yes, sir, indeed, absolutely. As always, please like, rate, share, and subscribe to the podcast. As Wolfie just said, I'm going to reiterate that. That's the best way to support us, is to engage with us. As I said, we started a Twitch channel and we have a YouTube channel with gaming clips. Those are both Get Geek Gaming. So you can definitely check that out. We'll have clips of Cyberpunk 2077. We have one already, as a matter of fact, a Twitch live stream. Again, we are recording remotely. That's our final little disclaimer that we give you every week. Thanks for bearing with us. You can give us feedback at Get Geek Podcast on Instagram or Twitter, and let us know how you feel about any aspect of the podcast, or if any of the audio issues are annoying you guys. Again, please let us know. We love our community. We love to engage with y'all. Thanks for joining us on our Cyberpunk 2077 retrospective. And as always, everyone out there, please stay geeky, my friend.
More like cyber cry.
Cyberbug is the meme.
Yo, the Cyberpunk memes are awesome, though.
You gotta check them out.
Cyberpunk is cyberpunk.
Cyberbug.
Oh, all the fans got cyberpunked. Everyone that bought it on launch got cyberpunked.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much.